Vladislav Baradolin, and we'll talk about a little bit about Airports Pulkovo, the NCG company. And I hope this introduction, a short introduction, will help you to develop your knowledge and interest towards the future project. So let's wait for a couple of minutes. People are coming. Okay, let's continue. So today we have the 5th lecture of the course. We'll talk about competitive rivalry and dynamics. As usual, we'll have some general information, then we'll have guest speaker Vladislav Baradolin, and then we'll continue with the topic for today's lecture. The general information. I just wanted to remind you, if you want to use main tab, meaning the SendCage resource, you need to go to the site, be registered for this resource. Unfortunately, it's not. You have to pay for using the resource. For myself, it is quite useful. You can have some additional assignments, training, some additional materials in order to develop your knowledge of the course and in this area in general. And guys, it's definitely up to you. Unfortunately, I cannot help you with the free access. The resources do not allow me to do that. So just go to the central cage, follow the instructions, and you'll be fine. Next thing, we're going to conduct just for the project. We'll have just only one company. Unfortunately, we cannot administrate more than one, but I believe that NCG is quite a big one, and lots of issues you can consider there, and it's give the opportunity for you to develop your understanding of this strategic management. For today's lecture, we'll have lots of opportunity for you to get some additional points. I'll be asking you about the examples of for today's lecture. So just type to the chat, and we'll take your activity into account and provide some additional points towards your final grade. That's basically it, and let's continue with the guest speaker. I hope Vladislav is here, and I ask him to turn the sound on and continue our talk. Vladislav,
yeah, I'm here. I'm here, Sergey. I'm here.
Yeah. So Vladislav, we're working together on the NCG project. It's Airport Pulkovo, and Vladislav was the head of strategy at that project, and for him was his task was to reshape this great Grimshaw picture into reality and allow us to fulfill the initial plans in time and in budget. So Vladislav, the floor is yours. Let's talk a little bit about the project, how you see that, how you saw that, how you saw the challenges of the project, what was the main challenges. today we'll have just a short discussion on that issue, and I hope we'll continue with the during the project. But just some short introduction. The floor is yours. Hello, Vladislav. Guys, sorry, Vladislav is not in this country, and it seems that sometimes the sound will be broken. So just do some technicalities. We'll continue as soon as he'll be ready to talk. Vladislav, we cannot hear you, unfortunately. Okay. While we're waiting for Vladislav coming back, I'll just give you some short introduction. The project began 2010. The challenge was to construct and reshape, to construct a new airport for St. Petersburg, and it was an international project which was undertaken under a public-private agreement, partnership agreement, PPP. The investment account up to 1 billion to 200 million euros. It should, in the concession was established for 30 years, from 2010 until 2014. As we probably know, in 4 years, the new facility of new airport was constructed, and the airside infrastructure was redeveloped and improved dramatically. This nice picture didn't happen yet, but we hope someday in the future it will be also redeveloped this way. Vladislav. Nobody here. Let's continue. Well, then proceed for as soon as Vladislav will continue back to us. So, we here?
Yeah, I'm here. Sergey, I'm here. It's connection is really weak here in Greece, so it might happen again. Okay, but I'm with you now, right now.
Just give a short introduction, and you can continue. Vladislav?
Yeah, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you do. Okay, excellent. Well, the very first question: do I oblige to speak English? Because, well, it's not a problem usually, but today I make a notes in Russian. I didn't realize that I have to speak English now. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, we have it's an international group, and we have not just Russian speakers.
Okay, good. Okay, excellent. Let's go. Let's go with the king. Okay, so we're talking about the Pulkovo Airport, right? And the NCG as the operator of this airport. And the first thing I had to point out is that I worked for NCG almost 10 years ago, in the beginning of the project of renovation of the Pulkovo Airport. So since then, I haven't been in the airport actually, and more to say, I even didn't fly from Pulkovo Airport for a couple of years by now. So, the things we were talking, we were going to talk about, it's a 10 years old. But the 10 years old, or to be exactly precise, 12 years old, that was a crucial point for Pulkovo Airport, because it was a start of the partnership between current operator and the city as a owner of the airport, and public partnership. The concession that was a start of this the huge project for Pulkovo Airport and for St. Petersburg, and I would say even for Russia itself as a whole. It was a really great project. But so once we are talking about airport, regardless of where it is located, in St. Petersburg, in Moscow, in the middle of the nowhere, each airport wants to be a hub. The reason is simple, because the hub is a transfer point, the point where the passengers connect to they're flying to this hub from different points and flying out of this point out of this hub to the different points. So the catchment area of the modern hub is much greater than the catchment area of any regular airport. So any airport in the world wants to be a hub. That was the case for Pulkovo Airport. That was the case for Pulkovo Airport, and for its owner, the city of St. Petersburg. The city's government wants to convert Pulkovo into at least European hub. As a ultimate goal for this development was the world-class hub, to build a world-class hub over there. And I don't know, it's supposed to be a huge passenger hub, and might be cargo hub. By the way, it's time to make some little joke. So do you know difference between passenger and cargo in terms of airports? So and what is it? What is it? What's the main difference between passenger and cargo? Okay, the main difference between passenger and cargo is that the passenger always returns, always. So you could earn your money twice on passenger. Cargo, usually cargo usually goes in one direction. Passenger goes in both directions. To and from, so you could earn twice, and one passenger you can earn twice. And one more thing about passenger hub is that passenger aircraft, they usually carry a lot of cargo, so-called belly cargo, in the cargo space beneath the passenger cabin. So the Pulkovo wants to be hub, but building a hub, we know a lot of different cases when the hub appears literally in the middle of nowhere. The most famous example of the hub that pop up in the middle of the nowhere is Dubai International Airport. 40 years ago, it was nothing over there. Now it's a world-class airport. So Pulkovo wants to be hub, but building a hub comes with a price, and price might be really huge. When I say price, I don't mean only money, but money is the very first and most important consideration there, because building a hub, you need a lot of I would say a lot of excessive things. You need more prone. You need more place to store aircraft. You have a lot. You usually build. You usually invest much more money than the regular airport. Other thing, when you are when you are talking about cost of constructing the hub, the thing is that building an airport, building a hub, means that there are a lot of stakeholders over there in that project. A lot of much more than well, let's say for a comparison. Let's take for a comparison airline. Airline might be 100% private, and the only stakeholders that involved in this project is owners and passengers. So only two of stakeholders when we are talking about airline. But it's not the case when we're talking about airport. So stakeholders for airport construction are first passengers, second airlines, third ground handling providers, I don't know, operator of the airport, owner of the airport, people who even don't fly but living around the airport because it's a noisy and so in case of airport, in any airport is a point of concentration of a lot of strategic decisions yet to be made, and it is a really difficult decision. And when you're considering the options of the decision, so you should clearly understand that once you made a decision, it's no return point for you. And the history of world aviation knows a lot of examples when the airport decision was wrong. Really wrong. The most famous example of that misjudging and misunderstanding and the cost. It's a Montreal Mirabel Airport. They have invested. Canadian and Quebec government invested billions and private investors invested billions and billions of dollars into this airport. And guess what is now? Nothing. It's just two runways and that's it. And a couple cargo planes and that's it. That was a cost of mistake made in the very beginning of the project. That was price the government, the public, the society obliged to pay for ambitions, for ambitions for misjudging and mistaken forecast and everything that we every possible mistake was made in case of Montreal Mirabel Airport. Pulkovo, I hope maybe later on you will recognize what's going on in Pulkovo and whether we as a team that had been working in this airport 12 years ago were right or not building this terminal or something else. So just wanted to Okay. It's a question. What conditions should be met by location of airports to be high in case of Pulkovo Airport? Well, you know what? When I was strategic director for Pulkovo Airport, I always was asked, so are we going to be a hub or not? And I was opportunistic on this. I never believed in that Pulkovo Airport might be a hub. First of all, the location is important thing for airport, but it's not the only thing that could convert airport to hub or could help or could not help to convert airport to the hub. Location is particularly for Pulkovo is not so good. So despite the fact that Pulkovo lies on great circle distance from Asia to the States, to North America, for example, or to Europe, we are too close. Pulkovo is too close to many European cities, and the airlines usually do not like so-called tips, so-called tip flights. When they're flying from, let's say, Beijing to Pulkovo, it takes usually about 7 or 8 hours, and then they have to fly to, for example, to I don't know where, to Helsinki. It doesn't make sense. It's better for them to fly from Beijing to Helsinki directly. So I don't believe in that the location of Pulkovo is good for hub. So having said that, if your location is not so good, so you need to provide something special for airlines that they despite the drawbacks of airport, they could use it as a hub. So location is I would say, it's an important factor, but not number one. Not number one. You could do a hub in the middle of nowhere. See the Dubai and all of these Gulf airports in Abu Dhabi and Bahrain and everywhere. So location is much more important factors are how the process, how operations are made in the airport, how what infrastructure you have, what is the government requirements, like if you have to check every passenger for passport control for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, forget about how. So you forget about that because you will not handle all these passengers coming from everywhere in the world. And the government regulation is much more important than, for example, location. So the carrier, the number one in hub construction is a carrier who the airport converts to the hub when there is a carrier that could carry the passengers from one point and transferring them in the hub, and then carrying in another point. So in case of Dubai, that carrier was Emirates. In case of Bahrain, it is a Gulf Air. Abu Dhabi, it's Etihad. A lot of examples when the hub airports, it is just a runway and terminal, becomes a hub because of carrier, because of air carrier. The most prominent case is Istanbul Airport and Turkish Airlines, Sheremetyevo Airport in Moscow, and Aeroflot. That is examples of constructing a hub from scratch. From the scratch, there were nothing 40 years ago in Dubai. There were almost it was a airport, but it wasn't good to be international hub in Sheremetyevo. Now it's pretty much hub, and Dubai is the hub. So I don't know. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry for a little bit fuzzy speech, but I just want to tell you that. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Vlad. Thank you very much. It's great to have you here. I hope it's just the beginning of our discussion with our students. We'll continue during the briefing for the project. We definitely will need lots of information from you and about airport, about the what it was, which initial ideas were for at the beginning of the project, how it was transferred to current situation, which strategic issues we did consider, and how which strategic decision you were taking in that time.
Okay, thank you.
Today, I just wanted to start the discussion, and we'll continue next week, I hope, with the briefing for the project. Thanks a lot. And we continue with our lecture today. So, the agenda for today is key terms. Competitors, competitive rivalry, competitor behavior, competitor dynamics, a model of competitor rivalry, and competitive dynamics in slow, fast, and standard cycle markets. I put here this picture of a very famous writer, Sun Tzu. He lived about 2,500 years ago, and the most famous book of him is The Art of War. Why I place it here? Because today's topic is probably the most relevant to the idea that business strategy was developed by the means of military strategy, and people who we're still using this terminology, and we still believe that the philosophy of winning the war can be used for winning the wars in business. Just a couple of pieces from this book. The place where we will fight the enemy must not be known to him. Or preemptive knowledge cannot be obtained from demons and spirits. It must be obtained from humans, for there is knowledge is true position of the enemy. So, what is the rivalry? Key terms. Competitors are firms operating the same market, offering similar products and targeting similar customers. And here, you definitely know lots of examples. In retailing, you know that Pechorich, Kalenta, and so on, they are rivals. TV channels, different TV channels are rivals, different social media are rivals, streaming services. And I have some questions to you guys. If you probably type into the chat the rivals for NCG company, the right answers or close to right will be assessed. Just type. Or if you do not have any clue who can be the rival competitor to Pulkovo Airport, you can also provide some other examples, a couple of companies that, who are rivals. Competitive rivalry, an ongoing set of competitive actions and responses occurring between competitors as they compete for advantaged market position. So, companies do some actions to get right position, to defend the position, and they are involved in the competitive behavior. Maybe Russian railways are an alternative way to traveling. Yes, that's right. Other transportation companies such as Russian railways, yep. People would prefer travel by train rather than by flight. Yeah, definitely. Russian Railways is the competitor to Pulkovo infrastructure, to Pulkovo project in terms of traveling to Moscow. Roughly the same time, roughly the same service, and there are rumors that with the new speed railways track to Moscow, the flights to Pulkovo, to Moscow airports and to Pulkovo will be cancelled. No need more. Just sit in the center of the city, and he will in St. Petersburg, and he will come to Moscow. Sometimes the new road, speed road, M11 is also considered as a competitor. Well, guys, yeah, there is a position that railways is a substitute. In some sense, yes, but railways has its shareholders, and they get earn the money, and they provide services. So in these terms, it could be considered as a competitors. The same, the toll road M11. It is a project. They have their shareholders. They earn money, and they also can be considered. To complete the picture, the shareholders for M11 project and Pulkovo NCG are quite similar. They are the same. So, competitive dynamics is a set of competitive actions and responses taken by all firms, meaning the competitive behavior is what the one company is doing, the competitive dynamics, sum of all the action all the companies are doing on the market. To study the competitive rivalry, we have a model. We need to understand the relationships between competitive analysis, drivers of competitive behavior, competitive rivalry, the terms and outcomes. So we'll start here. We analyze market commonalities and resource similarity. We then consider awareness and motivation ability to be involved in the competitive behavior, to do. Then we'll consider the competitive rivalry, the likelihood of attack, what makes the company vulnerable to the attack from its rivals, from its competitors. And we'll consider the likelihood of response, what types of competitive actions, actors, reputation, market dependencies. Those are drivers, those are factors which are influence. And definitely we'll need to count the outcomes of competitive rivalry. For what reason companies are involved in this type of activity? They want to improve the financial performance. They wanted to improve their market positions. And this is the part of the model. So, in order to understand the possibility of competitive actions, we need to consider the future objectives, the current strategies, assumptions, capabilities. And all of those help us to predict the behavior, the actions and responses, and avoid competitive blind spots where one of the unaware of competitors' objectives, strategies, assumptions, and capabilities. There are two things we need to primarily be consider when we are talking about competitor analysis, and these help us to do this analysis. First of all, this is market commonality, meaning that it's number of importance of markets which the company are involved and compete jointly, and the resources similarities, extent to which the firm tangible and intangible resources are compared to a competitors. And here I have a question to you guys. First of all, let's ask you, do you believe PepsiCo and Coca-Cola have lots of market commonality or not? 1 minute for you guys. Do they identical? Are they identical? Do they have everything in common or not? Let's be plain here. It was a question which refers to you that those companies are not just soft drink companies, and they are involved in a number of different activities. They have their own different. They have their own different businesses in different areas, and well, they are well known by soft drinks development, but those days they are working also in different areas as well. The answer from my student: yes, probably not everything, but a lot, as they both are sponsors at different sports and other events. Well, probably the sponsorship in different sports, other events, it's not the main reason, but it definitely may influence the strategic decisions and how they consider. And definitely it flows from the similarity or recognizability of their brands, who they are and how they considered by the customers. So we have framework for of competitor analysis here. You see that we have a traditional 2x2 matrix, and we have market commonality high and low here. Yep, just here. And we have resource similarity here, low and high. And we can consider that in general, the greater the market commonality and resource similarity, the more firms acknowledge they are direct competitors. This is here in quadrant 1. Market commonality is concerned with the number of markets with which the firm and the competitors are jointly involved, and the degree of importance of the individual markets to each. So you see that individual markets are here very important to the companies. Firms competing against one another on several markets engage in multi-market competition. In general, multi-market competition reduces competitive rivalry. Firms can competitive rivalry, but some firms will still compete when the potential rewards a potential market share gain are high. Meaning that even when the commonality and similarity resources, company may undertake some rivalry activities in when they have low similarity, but the market commonalities are high. The outcome may be different, and we have we can probably consider later on this lecture some examples when asymmetric action one company may lead to different outcomes of this rivalry. For example, when Intel used to be one of the when Intel was and is a dominant player on the chip market, and its competitors AMD consider an action and introduce new chip, then the Intel may respond either in the same market or might respond in different market with different where they have different resources and importance to the AMD, and the companies have lots of similarities here, but the situation with AMD and Intel is better represented by this quadrant, because despite the fact that they're working on the chip market, for example, it's Intel, the AMD is maybe represented by this triangle, because lots of the income it gets from the memory chips, not from main chips. Market commonalities and resource similarity shape the firm's awareness, motivation, and ability as drivers to be involved in the competitive behavior. Awareness, the extent to which competitors recognize the degree of the mutual interdependence, meaning that the company may respond or may be involved in this rivalry behavior, competitive behavior. This behavior is have some reasons. It has some idea to influence the influence the position of the competitor. Awareness tends to be greatest when firms have highly similar resources in terms of types and amounts to use when competing against each other in multiple markets. A firm may not be motivated to engage in competitive rivalry if it's perceived that its market position will neither improve nor suffer if does not respond. Meaning, even there is some action from the rivals, the company may be responding or may not, may respond or may not respond, depending on motivation and to be engaged in the competitive rivalry. Without available resources such as financial capital and people, the firm is not able to attack a competitor or respond to its action. And this is related to ability, the quality of the resources available to the firm to attack or to respond. If a company has no resources, there is no reason for them to either attack or to respond, because any actions may lead to collapse or to bankruptcy of a company or to lose market share. And it needs to be mentioned here that similar resources tend to lead to similar strategies. So the question, I meant that if you they invest into similar events, they have similar targets group. Yep, there are some ongoing discussion in the chat, and I'm happy to read it, but we'll continue since we have not very much time for the lecture. As usually on the war and how we learn from the Sun Tzu and other books about war or about business wars, the ongoing competitors' action responses affects performance of both companies. So it costs lots for all of them involved in these activities. And sometimes it is better to avoid these actions, but the possibility to win depends on many, as you probably already know. It depends on the situation of the industry. We have to talk a little bit about the levels of competitive actions and responses. There are basically two of them. Strategic, which is long-term and how to uncommit, and tactical, fine-tuning the strategy short-term, easy to change. If anybody can just type in the chat the example of strategic actions for any company, I hope it will help us. There are often lots of examples. The textbooks and literature provide lots of examples of strategic actions. And usually it's related to heavy investment in infrastructure, brand development, development of the market position, entering new markets. The actions which how to do and which requires lots of investment and lots of hard work, and the consequences of failing this with these actions or responses may be quite dramatic. While tactical actions and responses may be short, and it could be represented by, for example, introducing by cutting the prices or just renewing a product or service into the market. It is not about building a new plant or not purchasing, not committing the merger acquisition or buying a company, and it just could be easily to change and could be easily to reverse, even if it doesn't work properly. And tactical actions and responses could be also easily to respond, because they do not require lots of resources to do that, and just easy to do. So, guys, what is your guess? What is your best guess? When an attack is possible, what would be the examples of factors which will affect, not those which are listed on the screen. We listed the general description, the first mover benefits, organizational size, and quality. The factors that affect likelihood of competitive actions. But could you just type or provide some examples regarding why first mover benefits is or first mover benefit is likelihood is a factor which influences the likelihood of attack, or organization size, why it is and why it's important here, or the quality. I believe the most difficult factors to provide an example or description or explaining what the quality, its importance, its yep. We have an answer from student digital transformation. Could you just a little bit elaborate on that? I didn't get it. The factor of digital transformation has works as a factor of likelihood of computer attack. Well, so when you type, we'll proceed with the answer to the questions. A first mover is a firm that takes an initial competitive action to build or defend its competitive advantage and improve its market position. The answer here, because the first mover has an advantage to get loyal from customer faster than others, loyalty from the customer faster than others. Guys, my question is, do you believe that first mover has always have the advantages, and why do you think, why do you believe? First mover needs lots of resources to be first mover. It's need to provide new products, new service, have lots of cares or lots of expenses on research and development. The first mover goes the way nobody knows before him. He could make lots of mistakes. And because it is the area is unknown, so lots of the things can go wrong. Yep, first mover benefits are often critical to firm success in some industries, specifically in those which is experience the rapid technology developments and where the products life cycle is relatively short. And could you just provide some examples here? Great. The first mover can be a victim. Definitely agree. Some examples of area industries where the first mover advantages can the greater than in other areas. Technology is too broad. IT too broad. In the medicine, well, I believe yes. The medicine is in medicine. It is quite the first mover could have quite great advantages because of proprietary technology, because of patents, defense of because of know-how, and therefore the first move into the place and the one who developed that then will guess some advantage. And digital technology, the answer here is digital technology, business productivity tech that facilitates some operational processes. Well, I would agree to some extent. We'll talk about this a bit later and on this lecture, and it's related to, as I was introduced, to slow and fast-moving areas. But what about second movers or late movers? Those coming after the first mover, and they typically imitate the some products, and they already know all the mistakes and try to avoid them. They study customers when the market already created. Yeah, agreed. Second mover knows the mistakes of first mover, definitely. And here, guys, those who read the textbook probably will answer to the question. Microsoft is the first mover or second mover? And Apple as well. Let's let's put the question another way. In which area Apple is the first mover, and which is the second mover or late mover? Second mover. I'm asking about Apple, the most famous and most valuable company in the world those days. All of you probably don't know the company. Agreed. Agreed. Apple is the first mover in the computer, and the portable computer I would add, because the computer is it's much broader term, and mainframes also computers. And Apple definitely wasn't the first one, but devices, laptops, and so on, smartphones, it's a question. I would say mobile phones Apple is not the first mover, but they create lots of interesting in there. So it is still a discussion for you to have on the seminars about first mover and late movers. Late mover is a firm that responds to a competitive action at a significant amount of time after the first mover. And there are lots of risks associated with late movers when they come to the market, when the brands already developed, when the first mover and second mover gets the share of the market, and the market space already developed, and many things are clear, many mistakes are corrected, and the first and second mover protected their positions. So, but still, we have lots of great examples when late movers steal the market share and are able to provide to get the quite reasonable return on the investments. So let's proceed. And we talk now about the likelihood of response. Firm is likely to respond to competitive actions when either better uses the competitive capability, the actions damages the firm ability to use its core competencies, and firms make position become harder to defend. Strategic responses involves a significant commitment of resources. You need one need to have acquire resources and to respond. And sometimes it's difficult to implement and reverse. The time needed to implement a strategic action and to access its effectiveness can delay the competitor response to that action. So firms need to first think about whether to respond or not. This is key issue. It can be lived like either like it is without any response, but there are some factors which will call for the response, will lead to the response, and the company, the ones who initiated the rivalry need to consider whether its competitor will respond or not. We have basically three things to consider here. First one is a type of competitive actions, whether a company completed a strategic or tactical action. The second issue here is actor's reputation. Some companies will always respond, some others are not. And market dependence, meaning whether it's really important for the company to respond or not, which consequences of market or competitive actions will competitive action will have on the firm, whether it's crucial to respond or it is crucial to not respond. So market dependence, meaning that on which market you are competing. As we probably can read in the textbook, not since companies operate in different markets, the response can be asymmetric. You are blown on one market, you can respond on the other one. And the reasons for that is that consequences of responding and acting may depend on your competitors, your rival, dependence on a specific market. For example, if you have asymmetric presence in different markets, you can be blown on the one market and can respond on the other one, and this is the case of Intel and AMD. Any other examples, guys? You have a chance. Okay, when you printing, we'll continue. An actor reputation is a positive. It can be a positive or negative, and then depends on how the firms reply in the past, meaning whether the company is involved in competition or it is not. So the reputation, this reputation helps company to protect their position in the market and preclude the rivals from getting into the trouble by launching a sort of competitive actions. So the very important issue for today's lecture is the competitive dynamics. And here we have to talk about the slow cycle markets, fast cycle markets, and standard cycle markets. Guys, here's the chance for you to provide an example, just very fast, and to print the examples for slow cycle markets. Nobody wants. Okay. So slow cycle markets are markets in which competitors lack the ability to imitate the focal firm's competitive advantage that commonly last for long periods, and through imitation would be costly. You already mentioned previously that pharma, nope. IT security software market, nope. Car markets, not that much. I believe that probably the pharmaceuticals is most, yeah, vaccine or medicine market is slow cycle markets. I think, yeah, I agreed. First, may be able to sustain a competitive advantage over a long period of time, building a unique and proprietary capability produces a competitive advantage and success. The issues to consider here is copyrights, patents, and proprietary technology, and so on. And we are going to fast cycle markets, which are markets in which competitors can imitate and focal firms' capabilities that contribute to its competitive advantage, and where imitation is often rapid and inexpensive. And it is, yep, IT. Specifically those days, toys, agreed, toys market. Anything else? Clothing markets, agreed. What about retailing? Agreed. I don't think so, that is fast. You can take the, one can take sort of fast, it's, my guess would be, it depends. It is guess, it is not position. It depends on the specific niche. Sometimes companies need to develop really huge, give really huge investments and develop really specific business models, and it is difficult, which are difficult to imitate and expensive. And I would suggest that, for example, Amazon and Walmart are the examples when you cannot replicate easily the positions of those companies, and despite the fact that many companies try to get some ideas from them, but unfortunately is not that easy. So the key, it is not protected in terms of legal innovations and secrets or patents, but the imitation is difficult to do, and the skill of economists is very important in this area, specifically with those two examples I've already mentioned, the Amazon and Walmart, or in our country it is about big retail chains like Lenta or Pechorich or others. So it would be an example of, I would say, the standard cycle markets. Moderate rate of imitation, large markets, important to develop scale of economy. So basically we have three markets, and those markets are factors which influence the rivalry. Well, what I suggest you guys for the end of today's lecture, it was rather short one. I would suggest you to go to and do some additional reading. I always recommend you Michael Porter, and there are sometimes it's difficult to read in terms of ideas. He's real great, and he deals with the great details about rivalry in many books, but for understanding these ideas, it may be quite interesting. And the strategic management is always about this topic about rivalry, It is some sort of the center of the one of the main spots, main ideas of the whole course here. Despite the simple ideas behind, it is important to go and do your reading there, some additional reading, and acquire much more examples, not just those we consider here. And for you, you will have some key takeaways from textbook, from the lecture here, for you to study and getting better marks in your exam and quizzes. We already developed the questions for your exam. You will have them soon. It's you will have 50 questions. It's multiples and false true question there. They are related to the first 4 lecture. This one is not included. So just do your review of what we have already learned and what we already have discussed here. We'll see you next time on Friday, on 18th February. We'll have quiz number 4 and we'll talk about corporate level strategy. I hope that next week we'll distribute and deliver to you the brief for the project. We now discussing the flow of the project, the timing, and some details. And I think it's going to be fun for you, and I hope it will help you to go to the real world with the ideas you're supposed to study in this course, and to look to the real companies through the lens of strategic management issues, strategic management topics. So have a good rest of the week and see you next time. See you.